Three, two. What's going on, everybody? And welcome to another episode of the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
And Levon Maynard.
Hey, welcome to the show.
What is going on? So please continue to listen to us throughout the week. Action-packed week we have this week. Monday, we discussed the Olympians and bringing burner phones to the Olympics. Tuesday, we discussed the Department of Homeland Security and a new cybersecurity review board that's being stood up. Wednesday, we go into discussion about a social media platform that fired their entire IT and cybersecurity department and how we feel about that and the ramifications that could take place. Thursday, please tune in. I had an interview with Alex Worsham, a gentleman who's in IT and looking to switch over to cybersecurity in the future. So we have a good 45-minute discussion about that. And then Fridays, as you all know, or I'm going to make you aware, we talk about everything else. So talk about video games, movies, books, whatever we've been doing this week to unwind. Is the purpose of this episode. So definitely tune in throughout the week for all that goodness. But without further ado, how's everybody's week?
Well, mine's been pretty good. It's been a pretty chill week for me. Been home mostly, doing work from home. But also got a chance to check out the latest like book of Boba Fett. I don't want to give any spoilers, but they might as well start calling it the book of Mandalorian. And then they had a chance to. I finished off like a Yakuza 4, and I'm on Yakuza 5 now, playing some of that on the Xbox. And then actually, I booted up the PS5. I played some Valhalla.
Oh, finally
yeah,
booted the PS5.
Assassin's Creed. Yeah,
I need all the patches.
I know. It took like 10 hours for it to boot up and download the patches. No. Actually, I keep mine like in like the sleep mode, so I think it kind of downloads all the patches on the back end. But
okay.
But yeah, I played some of that. That's actually pretty fun. Nice little like intro. The story starts off, and it's got. I don't reveal any of the story, but it's actually pretty good. So far, it's been pretty enjoyable. And I haven't really played any of the Assassin's Creed games before this, so this is kind of like my first time getting into that genre, into that.
Yeah,
that
it's changed a lot. Yeah, it's changed a lot.
Yeah,
I think the last one I played was 2, Assassin's Creed 2.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've always heard such good things about them. I mean, they have a big following. They have, I don't know, probably have like 20 different Assassin's Creed games out there. It seems like they have one like every year or so. But yeah, man, enjoying that. I watched Ozark. I watched the most recent season. I guess they have it split into 2 different parts. So the first part was like 7 episodes. So watch that. And then I guess the next part, I don't know when the next part's coming out, but I'll be looking forward to that. See how it concludes, because I think this is the final season. And then what else? I watched like the first 3 episodes, I think, of the We Are All Dead, the Korean flick.
Oh,
it was a zombie joint. Yeah. And it's so far it's pretty typical. It's pretty like a typical zombie. I'd say there's nothing like earth shattering or nothing like, oh, you've never seen this before type thing.
Right.
It's not like a train to the Busan. They actually reference that in the show. Like, is this like Train to Busan? What's going on? So it's kind of funny. It's kind of like a little I don't know, multiverse there. What do you want to call it? But yeah, enjoying some of that. And the wife and I actually today we watched. There's like on HBO Max. It's like a Harry Potter 20-year anniversary thing. She's a big Harry Potter fan, so we actually checked that out. And I watched them with her. I'm not like a big diehard or big follower of the Harry Potter films, but we watched them together because she wanted to introduce them to me. I was like, okay, whatever. We'll watch all 9 of them, and they're fun to watch. They're really just like wizardry and all that kind of stuff. What are you gonna say, Shannon? You got some thoughts on that?
So it's not that. So like I've never seen any of the Harry Potter stuff, right? But this is it's gonna sound like I don't love my wife, which is not the case. But
How dare you?
Yeah. I've been married long enough to where I'll say no to stuff that I just don't want to watch anymore. Like I'm not watching that with you. You know what I mean? Like Is it you are so very much in love with your wife, and you were, you know, like, yeah,
Right.
I know you have not been married as long as I have. I know, right? So I'm like, look, I ain't watching. I ain't about to watch, like, especially with Harry Potter, because those things are like over 2 hours, aren't they? So
Right.
you look
I think
at
so.
like
Yeah.
20 plus odd hours of it. I'm like, well,
Right.
I ain't no
Yeah.
doing that. Like, hey, look,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Are we calling the lawyer? Like, what's going on here? I'm watching. Good for you, man. Good for you. That's how you keep the relationship strong, Levon.
Right.
That's not
Right.
me.
No. Hey, I see where you know, I see I love my wife much more than Shannon
Yeah,
does.
say it. Say it. That might be true. I don't
know. I'm willing to do more for my wife than Shannon is. Yeah, baby, I watch those movies, but yeah, I don't care. No, it's all good. I totally understand. It's kind of like I'm like that on certain things too. I won't like watch all kinds of random. So I kind of wanted to know a little bit more about Harry Potter. There's a big following, and people talk about it all the time on interweb. So I was like, I might as well watch them to see what they're all about. And I think I kind of did the same thing with the Lord of the Rings back in the day when that came out, and that was like the big thing, and it was like 3 hour long movies and stuff like that. I was like, oh, let me see what Lord of the Rings is about. I'm not really big into like medieval wizardry, like kind of like elf and like mages type stuff. I'm more into like, I don't know, thrillers and sci-fi and like action, martial arts type stuff, anime, stuff like that. So, but you know, I'll check it out just to get to know a little bit about it and see if there's something that piques my interest. But yeah, but I guess with that, what about you, Shannon? How was your week?
Man, you know, I can't complain, man. I did a lot more TV watching this week. So I don't know if you guys saw Amazon Prime has a new series, Reacher, out about the Jack Reacher series.
I
Yes,
saw
yeah.
trailer.
I didn't watch it though yet. Yeah, I saw the trailer.
It's not bad, man. So like, if you ever, I've heard from people that like followed the series. Lee Childs, I think, is the writer. So like Tom Cruise, as good as an actor as he may be, you know, depending on your opinion, like he's not Jack Reacher, you know, from the books, right? Like Jack Reacher is like 6'4", 250 pounds, and they found a guy that's 6'4", 250 pounds. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Yes, as a humongous
series,
man.
yeah, he is a huge, he is a mountain of a man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, the
He looks
fighting
like
and
a beast.
everything that he does, yeah, like the fighting and everything that he does, like it's got some good scenes in here, man. A lot of bones cracking and eyes gouged,
Okay.
and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, like I watched the whole series, 8 episodes, I think it was. I watched
Oh
the whole
wow, marathoned it. Okay,
I
okay.
marathoned it, man. I was like,
It
oh,
must be
okay,
good.
I like
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, for Shannon to watch all 8
for
episodes
marathon it.
in the marathon at that.
I mean,
What?
it has its highs and lows, right? But no, it's not a bad series. Reacher. I actually started watching Peacemaker too, Ryan, and you know it's
Oh yeah.
it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Like the sense of humor is very weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have to like that sense of humor. But no, it's not that bad. I'm caught up on that one too, actually.
Oh, so I'm one behind. I did not watch last
Okay.
Thursdays. So I'm watching that today. I'm watching that today though.
No, it's not a bad series, man. I like it. So I'm curious where they're gonna go. I'm like, ooh, I guess I'm about to hit the fan now. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's an interesting series. What else did I watch? I watched something else. Boba Fett. I did watch Boba Fett, and yeah, you hit dead on with that, Lamont. That should be called the Book of Mandalorian at this point. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
what is going on here? Like, I know some people I work with, they were very much they love this last episode that came this last week, and I'm not very much into it. Like, I haven't watched all the other Star Wars stuff, so I know that some of the characters that showed up were from some of the other stuff that's come out, right? But I've just never watched it. You know what I mean? So for me, it's just kind of like, oh, I don't know who this person is. You know what I mean? It just strolled up in here. I don't know who that is.
Right.
Like I have to look it up and be like, oh, okay, well, that's who that is. But I never came across them before.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not bad. The Righteous Gemstones is another one on HBO Max. It's got Danny McBride, John Goodman.
Yeah.
I've
been told to watch it. I haven't watched it yet though.
So you gotta be careful, right? So like if it's I will put this disclaimer out there. If there's someone out there who's like really, really big into their religion and holds their religion near and dear to them, do not watch this show. Right. So it's kind of like, so like if you know the story, if you kind of know the story of like Jim and Tammy Faye Baker or the Swaggerts, you know, these big televangelists that got rich, you know what I mean, putting church on TV, they're kind of they're kind of parodying that a little bit. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's an interesting series that's just like, wow, that's crazy, man. But I'm caught up on that. I continued watching Insecure. I don't know if you ever seen Insecure with Issa Rae. I started watching the fourth season of that, or continued the fourth season of that. I like that series. It's kind of funny to me. Some of the stuff that goes on, I'm like, ooh, that's rough. You know what I mean? That's rough. Yeah. But yeah, but this was the last season. I think it was the last season for that series.
Yeah, it's finale.
Yeah, so I got like 3 episodes left until I finish that. But no, I did a lot of watching. I did a lot of watching of TV this week. You know what I mean? So
yeah, just with you, Marathon and Reacher. That's like unheard of. I'm still like surprised, shocked by that one.
Yeah, man, it just came out Friday, I think, right?
Yeah.
So
man,
in 2 days.
So that's like overnight. That's like a 1 day like marathon, really.
Yeah. It was pretty much done in less than 24 hours. I was like, yeah.
Nice. That's good though. That's good.
Yeah, I definitely got to add it to the list.
Yeah. If Shannon's marathon, then I have to put it on my list.
Right. It's just all action. There's absolutely no story.
No, let me not say that. Let me not say that. There are some spots where they gotta tell a story, right? And I'm like, oh, but then they go back to crunching bones and whatnot. And I'm like,
crunching bones,
shooting off some guns and whatnot. I'm like, all right, I'm all for that. You know, yeah,
that's what's up. I didn't get anything down like media wise. This like work week, man. I've been slammed with work all week long. But I did, like last night, I started watching Barbershop Uninterrupted on HBO, where they put a bunch of people together. The first episode I watched was Tom Brady, Kid Cudi, and who else was in the chair? Female comedian, I can't remember her name.
This is the LeBron show?
Yes, the LeBron show.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think it's on season 4, and they have various amounts of episodes because of COVID. So like season 3 only had 3 episodes. But season 4, I think, has 6 episodes. So, but I'm not watching it in order because it doesn't matter, right? So I'm just picking the ones I feel like laughing today. So I watched the one with Kevin Hart last night. It was Kevin Hart, Kevin Love, Charlamagne the God, Gronkowski. And had them all talking. I think Kevin Hart was like super drunk. It was hilarious. But it was a good episode. So I watched that one. I watched the Tom Brady one because I was reading a news article where they finally figured out, like, there was a comment that he made on the show, and they think they figured out who he was talking about. He just called the person an MFer. And they think it's Ryan Fitzpatrick from the Dolphins, because now the pieces are falling in line. He was joking, but he was basically like, I was in talks with a bunch of teams, and this one team kept that, and they said reference the curse word, and everybody started laughing. So now they think it was the Dolphins, like the Dolphins snubbed Tom Brady. So that's what made me watch the episode. And then when I watched it, I was like, oh, I like this formula of getting all these people together who are similar but dissimilar at the same time, and just talking about, like, for him, they talked about it was Draymond. So it was him and Draymond and the female comedian, and I can't remember who the other person was, but it was the juxtaposition between Draymond says whatever he wants to say, he gets fined for it, versus Tom Brady, who is very poster boy. And in it, he talks about it. He was like 90% of the stuff I say in those interviews, I do not believe. He was like, I cannot speak my mind. I feel obligated. Like, he goes into it. I'm just like, wow, okay, that's some. And he references, this was the past season. He references retirement because they were like, yeah, 21 seasons, you're the GOAT. Is it ever going to stop? And he was like, it's going to stop. He was like, I can't play at this level for the rest of my life.
Chelsea,
so like, okay.
Chelsea,
yes,
no.
Yep. And they talk, because she goes into the media, because they were like, well, you're media now, right? As well as a comedian. Like, how do you feel about Naomi Osaka leaving the Wimbledon because of the media and mental health and all that stuff? And they go into a great conversation about it. So it's actually pretty good. So I would recommend it. You don't have to know everybody who's there, because like one had it was Don Cheadle, Travis Scott, Pharrell, and there's a bunch of other people in there too. But it's just like you could have somebody in the room that you don't know, but it's always a good, interesting conversation once they start breaking down what they do and
so
addressing the topics.
Lonzo Ball, Don Cheadle, DeAndre Hopkins, Jimmy Iovine. Oh, the record guy, Jimmy Iovine.
I didn't know who that was. Yeah.
Really? Jimmy Iovine?
Yeah,
you know Jimmy Iovine's work, from the labels.
Right.
Yeah. Seth Rogen, Travis Scott, and Pharrell Williams.
Yeah. And they get into a conversation about racism that's actually pretty good. And it's funny, Seth Rogen's interpretation, because he's Canadian, but he was like, I lived here for a long time. and they go into it about just how NCAA rules and athletes having to get the money as quickly as possible and forego the education, and they have nothing to fall back on. Like, it's really good. It's a really good conversation. And LeBron just pops someone. He's like, it's my show.
Especially with LeBron. That's an interesting conversation to have with LeBron, because he came right out of high school, right?
Yeah, he talks about it.
As far as I know, he has not gone back to college, but his situation is a little bit different, right? Because like when he came out, like it was kind of known that he was the chosen one, right? So when he came out, he not only came out and played basketball, he had a $90 million Nike contract.
Yeah.
Came out before he even dribbled a ball. You know what I mean? So like for him, it's like, well, if you run through 90 million, granted you got your taxes and all that, right? Like you deserve to be where you're at after that. But now we're 19 years later. No, when they filmed this show, it was probably 17 years or so, because I think that was 2019. That one came out. So I'm looking at May 5th, 2019. But at this point, he was 17 years in the league, made hundreds of millions of dollars, and is trying to be a billionaire, right? Like, I doubt he's going to go through all that, right? But that is an interesting topic to broach with him there, right? Because he could speak directly to that. Like, I didn't go to college,
and he does, because they're referencing Zion about it. Like, is it a good idea for him to come right out? And like LeBron was like, yes, absolutely. And then they go into like, because Don Cheadle's the whole thing was like he's foregoing his education. Like, he's like, I get it. He was like, you have to, like, not only is he skillful, but he has
a short shelf life for athletes.
It was like, you have to utilize your physique while you have it, right, on top of your skill set. But it's just a shame that African American athletes have to do that. Like, they have to strive for to get on the big stage before getting their education. LeBron was like, I'm still not a college graduate. He put it out there because somebody was like, I forget, somebody said like, I'm the first to go to college or I'm the second to go to college. He was like, I still don't have a degree. Like, I have to utilize what I have, while it's still good. So it's interesting. Like, I'm really enjoying the show. I saw advertisements for it, but I was like, man, because I watch sports, but I don't enjoy the personal lives of athletes. Like, it doesn't really do it for me. Unless if they're doing something positive, but like all the drama and whatnot. Like, I didn't even know about all the Triple B, the Big Baller Brand stuff, until I watched this. And then I had to go back and start Googling to figure out what happened, because I tune all that out. Like, I'm just like, I don't care. Like, what are you doing on the court?
Did they address that? Did they address that with Lonzo Ball on there?
He does, yeah. But not. I had to still do research. Like, they talk about it because it just happened on the show. You know what I mean? Like, it was in the media at the time, so they address it, or at least parts of it are being addressed. But I still had to go and find out what the rest of the story is. But it's a really good show, and it makes me do a little bit of Googling, right? Like, who is this person? Why do I care about what they're saying? Type situation. Because they had such a good conversation. I'm just like, oh, I want to know more about this person. So I like it. And then what else did I watch? I started Ozark, so I'm on episode 6 or 7 of the first season. Really good. I'm really enjoying it. So I'm like, I'm glad the 1,000th person told me to watch it. I finally decided to pick it up. So I got to episode 7. I'm going to watch Peacemaker today, so I can get caught up. And there was something else I'm supposed to add to my list. I think I talked about Swan Song. I watched that movie last week, so I think I talked about that. Really good movie. Well, I'm just trying to find another really good movie. Like, I want to watch a movie since I got to do nothing during the week. Watch a few more episodes of The Shop, and then I want to actually watch a movie. So So I'm gonna check to see what's on Netflix. See what's my appetite. No games. I think I played like 30 minutes of Halo. Really enjoy it. Super addictive. But I just can't. I can't focus on it like I want to. Like I got some more work stuff, and then I'm gonna jump back into it because you could do a lot of work and then die, and it'll be your fault. You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't have rushed all those brutes. Like
Right.
that was not a good idea. Then you guys got to do all the objectives you had done in that camp over again. You're like, or not all of them, but to wherever the checkpoint was, right?
Right.
It's like, oh man.
Yeah.
But it's always a good time. Yeah, always a good time. I'm really enjoying that. I want to play my Switch. I looked at it the other day and I was like, I have not played you in 5-6 months. I was like, I don't know where I left off in games. I don't even know what the last thing I was playing. But I was like, but I want to play that. So I got to figure out a way to integrate that into my schedule.
I was talking to a friend about that recently too, about the Switch, and like, you know, we talking about all these acquisitions. We talked about, like, I'm not sure we even talked about the Sony Bungie acquisition, but talking about the Microsoft and Activision, and then before that was the Bethesda. But I was wondering, like, I was chatting with some friends, like what I wonder what Nintendo thinks about all this acquisition stuff, and like where they're like, you know, they're pretty much like focused on their first party titles, and like the Marios and the Super Smash Bros. And the Zeldas and all that. But also at the same time, I'm like, my Switch hasn't really been getting much love lately. I haven't really played the Switch much at all compared to the other two consoles, and that's really been my focus. But I wonder 5-10 years from now where Nintendo's going to be sitting in the console wars or whatever, especially if they don't have like a lot of, I don't know, exclusive titles. I mean, they have their specific titles, but if they have like anything besides their Zelda and the Mario games and Pokemon or whatever, where they'll be sitting at 5 or 10 years from now, because they can't come out with like I don't know, they can, but a Mario game every console that's just like so unique, that's like it kind of blows everything else out the water.
So where are they at right now when it comes to the console wars, right? Like, are they third, second, first?
No, they very well.
They're month to month. They're usually first.
Really?
When it comes to the seller consoles, the Switch is because first you can find them more readily. We just got some. I saw a table at the store the other day that had like 10 or 12 Switches on it. I've not seen an Xbox Series S since Christmas, and I've never seen a PS5 except for raffles. Like they'll get like one PS5 and they raffle it off. So you can, like, from my point of view, you can still find a Switch. But yeah, the console sales, like, yeah, they're selling through the roof still. Like people are still buying Switches.
That's interesting, because I mean, I don't see them a lot out anywhere.
Right.
Either, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Usually I see like little children, like if you go out and whatnot, which is admittedly not been a lot lately, right? But when you go out, like you'll see little children like on their parents' phone or something like that before I see them on a Switch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's the versatility, right? For the most part. And I don't know if kids are getting Switches. And my kids only have one because of me, right? And I took it with me. I was like, I'll take that.
I never see adults on them. I never see adults. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I would say here again, because it's like we don't have them, so I see more people with Switches and PCs than I see with the other consoles, because they're not readily available unless they're bringing them in with them. You're not going to see them at the stores here. I saw a dude in the airport when I was coming back. He had a PS5, but he bought it from the airport, so it was 3 times his value. It's like a $1,200 PS5.
He bought it
at the airport.
Bought it from the airport. Yeah, they had a wall of them at the airport, but they were running for like $1,200, $1,300 or something like that. Something ridiculous.
What the hell? Wow. Yeah. And they were like,
and he grabbed it off the shelf. He was like, all right, well, this is what it's come down to. And he carried it on the plane with him.
It's not worth it to me. I want to spend
that's
twice as much money. Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's what people do.
Especially for a PS5 though, Levon, because you just started yours up, right? Like,
I know, right? I just turned mine on.
First off, like, you know what I mean?
I did literally like vacuum it off the other day. Like, I had like a little vacuum brush thing. I was like, dang, they got some dust on this thing. Let me clean this off.
Terrible. Terrible.
But I was cleaning everything. I mean, I cleaned up the whole like entertainment center because it's all dusty and stuff. But I did have to clean up the PS5 too. I was like, let me get some of this dust off of here.
Yeah. But I think I think stat wise, the Xbox is not that far behind the PS5 this generation. Like people thought it would, well, because they're selling two different SKUs, right? So like we don't know which Xboxes are being sold. Like most likely the majority of people I've never seen an X in real life, never seen it. But I've seen S's from time to time. So they're saying that they're only a few million apart this generation. And they said switches, there was a point in time where switches, it was like depleted, like you couldn't really find a switch. But now they just dropped the OLED models. So like there's another SKU of switch, and that I've never seen an OLED switch, never seen one in the store. So those must be selling like hotcakes, or they're just low supply, high demand. Either way, like Nintendo's like, as long as you buy them as quickly as we can make them. Same thing with the other console makers. They're like, they're not hurting. They're like, as we make them, you buy them. So cool. Right. Whatever. Even scalpers, like that's still money in their pocket, right? They're like, okay, you want to buy a warehouse full of Xboxes and hope to resell them for, more than their value? That's cool. Like we'll take the first wave of money, and then you probably will not be able to sell that. So it is what it is. But yeah, everybody seems to be doing pretty good. Like your question though, about 5-10 years from now, I honestly see the other platforms holders, like your Sony's, your Microsofts, like we're starting to see the long game. The long game is subscription services, and it's acquiring companies that can produce content, whether on your platform or anywhere else, right? I don't see Nintendo doing it. I think Nintendo will be a toy manufacturer forever. Like I don't know, because even Nintendo on like is it Nintendo Online or Switch Online? It's not a robust service. Like you can't even talk to your friends through your Switch. You have to use the app on your phone. Like they're just not focusing on it. Like I think they should, but they're just like, we make Zelda and you will buy it, and I will. Right. With no questions asked. Like it's gonna be hot. It's gonna be the best game of the year. I will purchase it.
But doesn't that keep the cost low too? So like all those features that you want is cost more money to put into production, right? So
they would have to put more RAM in it and all that other stuff.
Yeah. More components. They have to pay more. They have to charge more for it. So maybe that's where they think they're winning, right? It's like, okay, you're not going to pay $150 for this console. You're not going to pay $500 like you are for this one that is not mobile and cannot travel with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
right. And they usually turn a profit like almost on first run of manufacturing. They usually turn a profit. This is Nintendo's thing. Like we don't sell at a loss, except for the Wii U. The Wii U did sell at a loss, and it was a failure from their perspective, right? It only lasted like 3 years, and they were like, nope, moving on to the next. It just didn't capture like the Wii fan base like they thought it would. But the Wii, I think the Wii is still is it still the highest sold console? Like
I was looking.
Are they still number one?
I think actually the PS2 was actually.
Is it the PS2 and then the Wii?
So, well, looking at this, I'm not sure how accurate this is. This is from Statista.com.
I trust
but
it.
It shows. Yeah, it actually shows PS2.
With a name like that.
Yeah. It actually looks like that's all they do is statistics about different things. But for global unit sales of video game consoles as of June 2021, they have the PS2, then they have the Nintendo DS, then they have the actual regular Game Boy, then the PS4.
That's all time? Okay, that's all time. You said Game Boy. Like, you went way back.
Game Boy, yeah. From all time. Since,
That's back when I was a youth. Back when I was a youth.
Yeah. So it's two Sony consoles. When is the Wii? What number is the Wii on?
The Wii comes in at number 6, actually, out of all.
Oh, really? It's not in the top 5? Well, I guess it would be top 5 consoles, like because it's a handheld.
Yeah, if you're talking about handhelds. It's top 5 console, but handheld like Nintendo DS and Game Boy are in that listing. Yeah,
that's what will keep Nintendo alive forever. Nintendo will never. I don't believe Nintendo will ever have to worry about not being a console manufacturer. They will drop a banger almost every generation. They'll be like, here's our new device. And you'd be like, oh, that looks dumb. Like I thought the Wii was going to be stupid. I saw it. It's code name Revolution. I was in the desert when they were talking about code name Revolution, and they showed the controller and they showed the console. I was like, oh man, I don't want that.
This? Yeah,
like, I wanted like an Ultra NES, or give me a Nintendo 128. Like, give me something. You know what I mean? I saw that and I was like, nah, it's gonna be whack. I played the hell out of my Wii.
Yeah.
like when I got home, man, Wii bowling was almost a nightly occasion. They just know they know what they're doing. Like every now and then they drop something that's not quite that great, but we'll still romanticize about it later on. Like the N64, like when it came out, it was not that great of a console. I had the Mario 64 and I had the Ocarina of Time, like two of my favorites. But yeah, like Blast Corps and Pilot Wings and a bunch of other ones where you're just like, man, Star Fox 64. But it never was like my PS2. I could probably name off 30 games, but my N64, maybe 10 max that I cared about.
Yeah, I feel like that's how Nintendo's been for like most of the whole many of the generations. Maybe before, like after the Super Nintendo, once it started getting into like the GameCube and then to the N64 and stuff like that, I think they started just having like just a certain like number, like 10 games that are just must-have games, like the Zelda games and Mario games, and the other ones are kind of like Like I remember I actually had that Blast Corps for N64. I remember playing that one. Right. I was like, I enjoyed it, but it was like, this is kind of like, I'm kind of done with it. I played it for a little bit and then kind of put it aside. But I'm seeing what Star Fox once you get through it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you brought up the GameCube. Like, remember the game when the GameCube was dropping? Everybody saw the purple cube with the handle on the back. You're like, come on, man. And then,
like, what you doing?
But I could probably name off like 5 or 6 games that I got for that I care about. But again, it wasn't prolific. You know what I mean? Like that's the same generation as what was that? PS2 or PS3? Can't remember. I think it was PS.
I think it was the 2.
Yeah, it has to think 2.
I think it's 2 because that was like early 2000s, right?
Yeah. Game. And Nintendo doesn't, and they don't drop consoles in generation cycles. Like they just do whatever they want to do. So you can't even remember like when did this console come out? Like it overlapped like several different generations because Nintendo will drop a console when they feel like it, and they will drop their games on that console and outsell everything else. Like so they don't care about third parties, like because we're going to sell 1 billion Breath of the Wild 2s when it finally comes out, or whatever the next Mario is. They don't really have those issues, but I think the other console manufacturers are playing we don't want to be just in a box anymore. So like we talked about Microsoft for the past couple episodes with the Bethesda acquisition and now the Blizzard Activision King acquisition. But then immediately after, which we didn't talk about, was Sony acquiring Bungie. So Sony bought Bungie for, was it like 3.6 billion?
Right.
And then like turned it around immediately and said like Destiny will not be console exclusive. We will continue to sell it on all platforms. Like so they're investing in be able to be anywhere that they want to be. Like because now they're starting, like you have your God of Wars and your Horizon Zero Dawns on PC. And yeah, they're not day and date yet, like Microsoft, but I think that's what they're trying to get to. I think they're going to start playing the longer subscription game, just like Microsoft is heavily invested in with their $68 billion acquisition they just made. So I think that's the future in the next 5-10 years. Like you'll be playing, what is it, Spartacus or whatever is the code name for their subscription service. You'll be able to play your Sony games on your PC or handheld or something like that, just like Microsoft's doing with their xCloud and their day and date Game Pass games and what have you. I don't know if Sony will drop a God of War on their subscription day and date. I don't think that's going to be a thing because they know people will pay $70 for the next God of War. I don't think Microsoft cares. They're like, yeah, you get this Halo day and date as long as you continue to pay us whatever Game Pass subscription will be in the future, because I'm sure it's going to go up in price at some point. But I don't think they're invested in just their boxes. Like their boxes are going to be just another means to play their games because they want that subscription more than anything else. I just don't think Nintendo's there. Like I pay Nintendo $3 a month for access to a handful of not the best of their catalog. Like they're giving me like really bad versions of Star Fox 64. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I just don't think they care yet, and I don't know if they ever will. Like, I don't know if that's Nintendo's game plan. They'd be like, no, we'll just sell you whatever we create in the future. Like, God knows what Nintendo will make, but it will be something I'm like, yes, hot. They're like, oh, they put a handle on it. I like that.
I can carry it everywhere.
I carry it everywhere. You like very small incremental things, but you be like, oh man, it's hot.
Right. Yeah, that's what I feel like I don't know. And I used to be the biggest, like, I'm still, fan of Nintendo, but used to be like the biggest Nintendo fan back in the heyday, back in the Super Nintendo, N64. Like, I think I told you guys before about I used to get on the forums and be like, arguing how good a Nintendo is, better, how much better it is than a PlayStation. Like, oh, hey, PlayStation sucks, Nintendo forever type stuff back in the heyday. But nonetheless, it's like I kind of question Nintendo's strategy overall, like the long game. And I'm wondering, like, just like you talk about, even like the online service, because everything's going online, and people want to be able to like socialize with their friends and be able to play games together, and like, and you can't have all these like first-person games, like only be focused on first-person games that like you just play by yourself, and that they have long like development times, and it takes like 3, 4, 5 years for like a next like Zelda or a big Mario game to come out or whatever, because it takes all that time to actually put this stuff together. Where you can have like you can have a bunch of like Call of Duty type games, you can have all these different like multiplayer online experiences, and even like their online, like you said, the Switch Online, it has like the Super Nintendo games, some N64 games you can play on your Switch. But it just seems like it's not really, to me right now, it's not really worth it.
No.
And my Switch
it really isn't.
Yeah. My Switch isn't really getting much love. So it's like I kind of think about it in the future, like how much, how excited am I going to be about the next console that comes out from Nintendo and the games that are available for it. I'm sure I'll get it, but I'm wondering like overall, like the community, if they start kind of like wavering a little bit after they see like Sony and Nintendo, Microsoft, like have all these publishers that underneath them, and Microsoft releasing like day one games of like, all their biggest hits, and, same with, Sony's coming out with their own Spartacus thing. And I was curious about the future for Nintendo.
So it won't be this generation, because like they're selling like hotcakes, right? Like they can do no wrong. I think it'll take a back-to-back generation, quote unquote, failure for Nintendo to switch gears and be like, you know what, I'm going to build a more robust console to try to capture some of this, because they took a hit with the GameCube, they took a hit with the Wii U, and then they just every generation after that they just bounce back with something like, like the Switch. Like hearing about the Switch, the rumors about the Switch, I was like, that's not what they're going to do. Like that's impossible. Like it's a handheld and a console. I was like, Nintendo can't do that. And then they came out with it. I was like, oh man, it's hot. And I probably play it more as a handheld than I play as a console when I do play it. But like this generation, they're cash rich. So because I want them to build a console that is powerful. Like I want to play, like you see these fan-made like Zelda ports, like the Ocarina of Time and Unreal Engine 4 or 5. You're just like, I wish they would do that,
right?
But they never do.
Everything's always every generation's been that way too. They don't really care about like the most powerful console. They just want to have like have the games playable.
So what I would
say, Shannon?
What I would be no, you're good, man. What I would be curious about though is, are we the target audience, right? So like, even though we grew up with Nintendo, right? Like we had a Nintendo system and whatnot, like, are we still the target audience going forward? You know what I mean? Because there's going to come a time where, like we may not have the time to buy and play the consoles, right? Like as we get older, there are other things that are going to take priority. Like I don't know if they are marketing towards a younger audience or whatever. So like my youngest son has a Switch, but when I think about it, he doesn't have any specifically Nintendo games, right? Like he likes Pokemon, right? So he has a Pokemon game he's putting time into, you know what I mean? But he's not playing anything Mario, Luigi, Princess what's her name?
Maybe Zelda's or something.
And
Peach.
Zelda,
Yeah.
yeah, Peaches,
Right,
Princess
right.
Peaches, yeah. But yeah, he's not playing any of that, even though he has the Switch. You know what I mean? So I don't
Right.
know. I don't know how they're going to stay afloat 5-10 years from now. You know what I mean? Because 5-10 years from now, like, I'm thinking I'm gonna have grandchildren over at the house that are probably gonna be doing stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's just,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think, but I think that's just it though. Like you said, I don't think that it's not, the demographic isn't specifically us. They are targeting a younger generation, but they capture us off nostalgia. So like, I bought my Switch for the kids, and I immediately started playing it more than the kids ever did. Because your cards and stuff like that. Like we play a little bit of Mario Kart, play a little bit of Mario Party, but when it came to Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, and they didn't play those games. Like they only played the party games. That's all they ever played with me.
So and that's the thing, right? So like for me, like in my household, I don't have cable, right? And a lot of people are cutting the cord on cable, right? So when they do their
Yeah.
advertisements, my children are not seeing these advertisements that may be coming on TV for Nintendo to sell whatever it is, right? Maybe they're doing it on YouTube, but even then, they're not on YouTube like that either, right? Like they can only watch certain things on YouTube, and those
Yeah.
advertisements, I don't think it's really Nintendo based. So how
Yeah.
are they even getting it into where my children? Because I've never had my son come up to me and be like, "Hey, who's Mario and Luigi and all these people?" No, he's never come up and said that. So
Right.
I'm curious if more people are going to start cutting the cords, for cable, they're not seeing all these advertisements that Nintendo may be investing in to get these people into their their world. I don't know what you would call it.
Yeah, the ecosystem or whatever.
Ecosystem. There you go. That's
Yeah.
the word for it. Yeah, their ecosystem. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, so you know that they're coming to Universal, so they're already building out like a Nintendo Zone or Nintendo Land or whatever. So I think they kind of know that, like because like, if you are a adult, you know who Mario is. Like he's like the most iconic character ever. But maybe it is starting to slip, and that's why they're starting to stick themselves into, like, there's a Mario movie coming out, right? Made by Illumination.
Right.
So the people who did uh the
Despicable
Gru
Me.
movies.
Yeah.
Yep. So Despicable Me, like, so the same studio, and they're having Mario voiced by Chris Pratt, Donkey Kong voiced by Seth Rogen. Like they have a lot of big stars. Princess Peach was I think it's the lady from Queen's Gambit. I think she's gonna be playing Princess Peach. I can't remember, but yeah. So I never know anybody's name. I'm terrible. I think that they're starting to figure out that maybe to target the demographic, which is our younger people, that they need to start putting themselves in different media, and that's what they're doing. So like that Mario movie is probably gonna be a banger. Like I'm gonna go see it. It's off the rip, right? And then whenever I go to Universal, they got Mario Land. Like I went to Fast and Furious, and I don't even like those movies. I still went on that attraction. You best believe I'm going to Nintendo Land. That's a must. And then you take your kids, and your kids are indoctrinated into Nintendo's. I don't even know what to call it. Like I forget. They estimated how much Mario was worth, and it was something ridiculous. Like it's one of the most. If it were to ever be sold, it would cost more than some companies, just off just Mario IP alone. So I think that they're starting to figure it out. I don't know if they'll ever make a console I want though. Like I literally want them to come out with something that's just a beast of a machine. Call it like the Ultra NES.
That's right.
It just be like the most flagrant, like this is all about the graphics and power. Like the Zelda is the most robust open world. You know what I mean? Like it's like Skyrim with you know what I mean, with Zelda characters, but they're just never going to do that. They're just like, man.
Yeah, and I think they try to set themselves apart from the competition too. So they're trying to avoid the whole console like power war, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But I agree with you though. I would like to see that. I would like to see like Nintendo come out with a system that's more powerful than the rest, at least for that generation, and obviously the next generation come out and for to counteract that. But I'd like to see Nintendo just come out with one powerful console that's like, this is capable of the Unreal Engine Zelda that we've seen, like people put together.
They just never bite. They just like, nah, we're good.
Yeah, we're good. We can make it look. We can make a cartoony version of Zelda, and it'll sell just fine.
Yeah, and it's very true. I think they also were going to have a Netflix show, right? There's going to. I don't know if it's still in the works or got canceled, but there was going to be a Zelda Netflix show. So they're branching out. They're branching out. I don't think that deal ever got cemented though. Netflix is probably like, hey, we need some Witcher nudity, some blood. Which I was like, we know we don't do that. You know we don't do that. Matter of fact, this meeting's over. And he just storm out.
Get out of my office.
Just storm out the meeting. But I think they'll be fine. But we'll see. Like if they have like, because they've dropped some flops, but I still bought them. Right, I was there for the Wii U. I was there the day it dropped. I already had my pre-order. I walk in. There's just a table of Wii U's. I was just like, there's no one there. There's no line. It blew my mind. It's coming off the Wii, right? The Wii. I didn't get a Wii for weeks. I had to finally. I walked into a Fred Meyer because I lived in Alaska. I walked into a Fred Meyer and there was one on the shelf like a year after it dropped. And I walked over to it in disbelief and picked it up and was like, and my wife looked at each other like it's on the shelf.
Right.
So they just don't have those issues like every other generation. Like they're the it product. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, like with the other console manufacturers, though, you can see now, like Microsoft was like, we're going this route by any means necessary. Anybody we got to purchase will do it. And now Sony, like, because people were like, oh, so Microsoft did this, so Sony did that. Like these acquisitions are years in the making, right? So they didn't go 2 weeks later like, you know what, you bought Blizzard, we're gonna buy Destiny. We're going to buy Bungie to spite you. Like, no, that's not the way these things work. It took time to set up. And then for them to turn around immediately and be like, nah, Destiny's on everything. Because they're like, we need to make money in other places. Like, we don't make PCs. Well, I think, doesn't Sony make PCs? Sony Bios? Or does that no longer a thing? They made PCs at one point. But like, we don't manufacture these things, but we need to get our products on it. Like God of War, on Steam, I forget the stats, but it was selling like hotcakes. People want to play God of War. They just don't necessarily want to buy a PS5, but we'll play it if it's somewhere else. So they all get it. They all get like, we need to branch out. Our catalog needs to be everywhere that we can get it. And Nintendo's just going to do what Nintendo do.
Yeah. I think 2 quick points on that. Like, for one, I'm curious how. I'm curious to see how far Sony goes into porting this stuff to PC, because I know that, that may be like, that's one of the biggest things with PS5 is like, oh, we have all these exclusives. You can only play them on PS5, and if they start releasing exclusives on PC, like the God of Wars and the Last of Us and the Uncharted or whatever, the Horizons, if that's going to start affecting like, those kind of like console like battles, I'd say, because people on Xbox, sometimes people say on Xbox, oh, I can play those games on PC. I already have like a strong PC, so I can play all the Halos and the Gears of War and all that kind of stuff. So I wonder if the same thing kind of happened on the PlayStation. But second point.
I don't think they cannibalize each other. But I was gonna say just before you go to your second point, I don't think they cannibalize each other though. And I feel Microsoft would cannibalize more with Game Pass than Sony would by just releasing games on PC, only because like I don't have a PC. I don't have any intent in buying a PC, but I do have a PS5. I don't think those two audiences necessarily overlap all the time. Right. Like you build a powerful PC and you have a PS5. So I think they're safe, but I think they're testing the waters. Like they dropped Horizon, they saw it sold very well. And this game was older, like 2-3 years old. And then they dropped a God of War. I think God of War is like 2 years old now. And it's selling like hotcakes. So I think that will coax them to be like, okay, we can share our catalog. It might not be day and date, but we can start to share our catalog. Plus, I think they need a shooter house, in my opinion. That was the acquisition of Bungie. Like, yeah, we're going to still release Destiny everywhere, but when's the last time Sony had a banger shooter? They haven't really. Like Call of Duty sells more, but it doesn't compete with Killzone or Resistance, Fall of Man. Like those shooters, I enjoyed them, but they weren't bangers. They're not Halos.
Yeah, but it's true. That's true.
What was your second point? I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's all good. I was just gonna it's a small point, but I was going to mention that. I think I heard something that people were kind of debating whether or not, or not so much debating, but people were saying that Sony kind of overpaid for Bungie because of the I forgot some of the main points of it, but the $3.6 billion for Bungie compared to like some other acquisitions from other companies, especially like I guess back in the day when they I don't know, obviously, you know, it's a different time, but they spent like I don't know 200 million or some million on like one of the other studios that make like Last of Us or one of the other big names.
Oh,
But
Naughty Dog, maybe.
yeah, maybe it was like Naughty Dog. But I think maybe it was like 700 million or something like that, or maybe like in that range. I'm trying to remember some of the main points, but I read recently that they actually paid 1.2 billion just to keep certain developers on site or like employed with Bungie, so that they won't leave and like jump ship. I guess after they make the acquisitions up to that effect. So they have like a kind of a contract, like, oh, you guys got to stay here and keep developing games and don't like look for other jobs or something like that. So that in itself, 1.2 billion of that 3.6 billion was just for that, and then other 2.4 whatever was for the actual company.
But I think it was more for their pedigree than for like Destiny sales, right? So people buy Destiny. It's not only that you pay full price for the game and then you pay for all the expansions. It's not like a monthly subscription type thing. It might flip to that in the future. Who's to say? But it's the pedigree. Like people sleep on Bungie, but without Bungie, there'd be no Xbox console. Like originally they were developing Halo for the Mac. Microsoft stepped in and like, no, we want that for our console. And they made one of the first successful first-person shooters for a console. Like before then, people played shooters on PCs exclusively. Shooters on consoles sucked. You had fun. You had your golden eyes,
right?
But that was it. Like shooters were not where they are at today before Halo dropped. Like Halo changed the game for shooters on consoles. And then from there, you know, they developed more of your Halos and what have you. And then they were able to buy themselves out of their contract with Microsoft to become independent. And then they tried to team up with, I think it was Activision for Destiny, but it didn't work out, or it worked out for a time period. And then Activision allowed them out of their contract and what have you. And Destiny still survived and thrived. Like they make really good shooters. So if you need a house of shooters and you're not Bethesda, you know what I mean? Like if you need somebody outside of Bethesda in the id Software and like, you know, your Wolfensteins, your Quakes, those type of games, you need somebody else who makes really good shooters. You're gonna go to Bungie. Bungie makes like Destiny just feels good. Even though I'm not a Destiny player like that, like when I did play Destiny just felt great. It's a great shooter. So like, yeah, you might keep Destiny out there on other consoles, but whatever they're formulated in-house for Sony will be a resurgence in Sony shooters, right? Like whatever that's going to be, it's going to be a banger of a shooter, and it'll be exclusively for Sony, who has not had an exclusive shooter since Killzone. And that was PS4 was the last Killzone, Shadowfall, and it did not sell that well. It was I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. It looked amazing, but Guerrilla moved on to make Horizon Zero Dawn. Like they wanted to do something different. They don't want to do it's shooters to just be shooters. They want to do open world games with robot dinosaurs and craziness.
Yeah.
So they don't have anybody to make those games anymore that is like great at it. So I think it's a good acquisition on Sony's part. And then they always have that Destiny money, right? Because it'll be sold everywhere. So
and one point I make on this, and I don't want to belabor it too much, but the thing with the Bungie acquisition, that they it seems like Bungie making it a point that they're going to continue making consoles, making games on multiple consoles. Like they're not going to have exclusive ties to Sony. Like they say Destiny, along with any like future games that they develop, are going to be on multi-platform.
Oh, okay.
So like,
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, they actually the Bungie president or CEO, whatever, came out with a statement to make sure. I don't know, you made that clear. It almost seems like, and I bet you that's part of the reason maybe why Microsoft hadn't already purchased them, because they're like, they still want to just be exclusive. It's still the only benefit for Sony at the moment for them purchasing them is obviously the money from the selling the games, as well as like they have that knowledge base of, like you said, the shooters and like the online like world, like the online service. I think Sony came out with a statement saying that they plan on releasing 11 live game services in like in the next 5-10 years, something like that. 5 years, I think it was.
Gotcha.
Similar to like, the like Destiny or like World of Warcraft type stuff where you can play online with a bunch of people. So I think they're trying to use that as a method to like help them get into that field, instead of just being known for their single player big game movie production style games. They want to be like, oh, we got the Destiny, we got like I don't know, we got an Elder Scroll, we got like a whatever, that kind of game. But
I was gonna say they get the IP as well, right? So
yeah,
I think they get the IP, so then they can make movies, right?
Yeah,
because now they have the
true.
Uncharted, they have the Uncharted's, they have I don't think they're doing a God of War movie, but they're doing something else from a franchise of theirs. But yeah, now they can make a Destiny movie. Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
So maybe they're just trying to all of their different umbrellas. They're trying to put something on it. But that I'm shocked that they said that they will have no exclusives.
That's what they say. Yeah,
like that's a big acquisition to not get anything just for yourself.
And that, and this is just my opinion, but I think that's a big reason why maybe Microsoft, because I feel like Microsoft could have easily bought them too. Like I feel like they would have already talked them in the back, like, hey, you were with us before. Let's go in and like reignite our business.
This partnership
that we had before. Yeah. Instead of letting Sony buy them, because I mean, I know Microsoft got the money. They already spent $70 billion for another company. Now they, I know they got more in their bank for that. That was just like what they felt like spending at the time.
3.6 is a rounding error, right?
Right.
It's pocket change.
Exactly. It's pocket change.
It's Hakeem's pocket money, right?
That's right. The pocket money. That's my pocket money.
So I don't know. I guess, but there's probably some resource sharing or something, because like when Microsoft acquired Bethesda and id and all that, and that deal, they're like, we're going to use tech from these other companies and pull it into the Microsoft family. So like if you need, like, oh, I need help making, what was it? It was Rage. Rage had some kind of crazy physics on their characters that looked so lifelike, but that game was not good. But they can just pull that tech and put it in a different game, right? They got to be getting something else that's exclusive, but maybe not. Maybe they're just like, you know what? We want to continue to make money. And we know this will continue to generate money, so we'll just pick it up, because Call of Duty's not going to be exclusive. At least I don't believe so.
Right.
So Microsoft's just like, man, we just want it. We just wanted to be under our umbrella. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Yeah, because that also happened in January, right? Or was that February acquisition? Because January was Blizzard Activision King. Was this also January, or did this happen in February? The Bungie acquisition. Yeah, like, did the news break this month, or was it last month? Either way, there's so many more months this year.
Yeah.
And they're already just dropping like huge megaton news. Like, who's next?
Right.
If you watch the documentary, there's an Xbox documentary. I believe it's on YouTube, and it may also be, oh man, where is else? I can't remember where else it's at. But if you watch it, they talk about Microsoft going to the table for Nintendo for acquisition back when the Xbox was going to launch. They were like, we want to buy you. And they said they got literally laughed out of the room by Nintendo executives. Like, it was the funniest thing they had ever heard.
Right.
So who's to say what the future holds?
Yeah. I can imagine that conversation. That'd been funny. Funny to be like a fly on the wall.
And now they come back and be like, yeah, we putting a dent in what you selling right now. Like
right. It's true.
Right. They got laughed out of the room. So it's a pretty good documentary. They're very, very forthcoming with how hard it was to get into the market. Like, nobody wanted to mess with Microsoft. They're like, it's not going to work. Now look at them. So
yeah, I saw that too. That was a good documentary. And the head of Bungie said, we will continue to independently publish and we will continue to independently publish and creatively develop our games. We will continue to drive one unified Bungie community. Our games will continue to be where our community is, wherever they choose to play. And they basically say like, hey, we're gonna, we're basically gonna make our games wherever we want to make them. It doesn't matter that Sony's gonna acquire us. Pretty much, it's just a way for Sony to make some more money off of the games that they produce. But it seems like they're at the moment, it seems like they're still going to be like an independent like studio, quote unquote, and to be able to make their games wherever they feel like it, and not be restricted to Sony saying like, hey, you guys got to make the games only here so that we draw the fans over to our console.
Right. So it's got to be the IP then. Like they're going to drop a movie. Like,
that's right.
Or something. It's got to be because it something has to wet their whistle, right? Like, or maybe they know like there's another project that's as big or bigger than Destiny, and they're just like, yeah, we want that under, like, not under their umbrella, but we want to distribute it because even they're even saying they're going to publish their own stuff still wherever they want to. Like, so Sony won't even necessarily be their publisher. So there's got to be something in there. It's got to be media of some sort, like something. Or
something to. Yeah, you're right. It's got to be something that's really worth 3.6 billion.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, and that's what, you can find them online. There's some articles out there about Sony potentially overpaying for it, but there's some people that think, they overpaid based on what they're going to get out of it. But Sony may have like a long game with this online services and all that kind of stuff. But I guess we'll see what comes with it. Because I don't think, Destiny itself, I know it makes a lot of money, but it probably doesn't, I don't think it makes that much money to be worth like 3.6 billion at the moment. And I'm a Destiny player, but I kind of get bored of Destiny. I know they have a new like DLC coming out, and we talked about it before, but they're known for like releasing the DLCs, and they have the seasons. You have to pay pretty much. You might as well be paying monthly. I know you say they don't charge monthly, but it's might as well be because you have to pay each season. Yeah, it might as well be subscription based because you pretty much pay every quarter at least for like the new season, which has like new content, new stuff you can get and loot and raids and all kinds of stuff like that. So it almost like forces you to buy it if you really want to be like not the person that's if you want to be one of the cool kids and want to be part of the group that actually has all the gear, you have to get the seasons unless you just want to be like on the outskirts. But yeah.
Got you. No, that's what's up though. Like it's gonna be a crazy year. Like people get like we won't see a lot of the fruits of this until a couple of years down the line, right? Like Sony has like 39 studios or whatever, or not. I'm sorry, Microsoft has like 39 studios or whatever. But a lot of those games won't drop until 2-3 years from now. So, but it's a worthy investment. And then, like you said, we'll see what happens with Nintendo. But Nintendo gonna do. So they got me. I'm a simp for Nintendo, so they got me. I'm gonna buy it, whatever it is. But no, this is a great episode. I'm glad we were able to get the Bungie stuff in there, just in case something else breaks. They can't acquire anybody else. They gotta take a break. They gotta stop buying people. If you're out there still listening, definitely tune in throughout the week. Like I said, Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion. Thursday we do have Ask SSP. So that would have been yesterday's episode, depending on what order you listen to this. And we look forward to pushing out content every week. So definitely continue to tune in. Hit up the website, www.theothersideofthefirewall.com. Get to our social medias. Give me up personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy on Clubhouse, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And you, Levon?
Yes, sir. You can hit me up on the Twitters at Levon Maynard.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.
Take care.